What up, everybody? Thank you for checking out the latest and last video essay for me for a while. Same as it ever was. I love plays on words with song titles or movie titles. So if you are a music fan, you would know that that's the Talking Head song, same as it ever was. And definitely every chapter, except for Wakanda Forever. I had to do a Wakanda Forever chapter in that video essay. Is a song or some sort of play on a song. The big pushback, the big payback. But that video essay was a long time coming. Actually, the last three you guys have seen have been a bit of a derivative of what I was always trying to do with that, and I would always get derailed somehow into something else. So it was a labor of love, to say the least. Two very influential pieces for that video essay is, of course, Pascal's piece on Clarence Avant, that he wrote, I think 4 years ago for Black Agenda Report, and Bertram Cooper's piece about who runs the culture industry, and then too many academic and history articles about that era, because I never thought that this comes out of nowhere. Like one day, Hollywood just decided that black movies were going to be the thing that saved them. You know, Paramount was so, or I'm sorry, MGM was so broke at the time that they were auctioning off, I believe it's the Ruby Slippers. They definitely were auctioning off parts of their back lot right before Shaft hit. So it was a very trying time for the film industry, and these small, very niche films came in for about a 3-year period, even though they last a little bit longer, and helped the film industry out quite a bit. But to get more into this is one of the influencers for me on this piece, and I'm honored to call him a friend and a brother. He is the Pascal Robert.
Yes. Peace and greetings to the chat. Peace and greetings to the audience. Peace and greetings, Jason Miles. And I must say, there is nothing that I think demonstrates what we do at this show best than our forays into the role of Black popular culture and the culture industry in shaping the ideological superstructure that is the 50-plus year counter-revolution.
You know, I watched probably 5 documentaries about that era, and there's not too many modern ones. Anything modern that's a black documentary glances over it, glosses over it real quickly. and doesn't really stay there. And one thing I had been talking about for the last few months was the idea that the era never went away, that it kind of goes away a little bit in the late 70s, but you see a revival of it, a new wave of it in the 90s. And then I think it's
New
just
wave of it now.
yeah. Oh, we're definitely seeing it now. The glorification of these revisionist 80s crack era shows and movies. Um and what I find kind of interesting about this time is in the 70s you start to get the rise of the welfare queen, and I don't think these movies and I don't think they're trying to make movies that glorify that behavior, but in the way the movies were made coupled with the rhetoric of politicians, and it's not necessarily coming from the federal level, this is like a lot of it's coming from the state level, mainly with Reagan. And that's why I put that clip in from Reagan in 75. He's not running for office. When you watch him in that clip, he's literally out of office at that time. And he had a script. There's other interviews I found of him. That night, I think I watched about a half hour of Ronald Reagan post office interviews because I knew there was something where he talked about welfare and I was trying to get it exactly, but there was a lot more stuff he said in the 80s actually. And it's harder to find footage of him saying things. But watching him kind of brag about the welfare reform and kicking people off the rolls in the 70s in this time in California, which set the groundwork for what Clinton does later on in the 80s.
Correct. You're. I'm telling you, man, your memory is fresh with trudging through all of this history in terms of what I mean. What is really? First of all, let me tell you right now, I very much enjoyed your video essay.
Thank you.
Because the reason why I enjoyed your video essay is because I, as you know, have come to a point where I look at pop culture and cultural production as a tool of capitalists' ability to socially engineer people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tool, a vehicle of social control. That doesn't mean that we don't enjoy movies, that we don't enjoy music, that we don't enjoy art. But we realize that within the actual vehicles and spaces of capitalist production in our society, that these are all tools of propaganda and that they are trying to propagandize largely, number one, for consumerism. That's one thing they definitely want to propagandize us to do, is to go out and buy things to maintain the saliency of the economic paradigm. And number two, they want to propagandize us into conformity with the normal function of the system as being the proper way in which things should be expected to work. And that the choice and the chance of believing that there's anything otherwise is ridiculous. And what I find particularly valuable about your video essay is that it demonstrates that the culture industry in America has always found that there is a utility in using the black image to use black people and socially control them in a way to either diminish their desire to challenge the status quo or project an image of inclusion, assimilation, success, and aspiration of participation, i.e., the 80s with the Cosby years and the Spike Lee, as if to say, well, they just want to be American like us, and it's really not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I like about the video essay you showed today is that it shows how the consistent trend through Hollywood, which, as we know through our research, right, is an institution and industry that is not divorced from working with even intelligence industries in terms of how they shape narratives in film. There's tons of research and scholarship that talks about how even if the intelligence industry is invested in shaping films and narratives for years, And what your video essay does so eloquently is to demonstrate like they they really like to to uh to mess with people, man. To really to engineer. And by the way, this is not only done with black people. Let's make this clear. They now with black people, it's done largely, sadly, because they're able to play on this kind of internal desire for recognition, this racial vindicationist need to be validated,
Mm-hmm.
and that comes out of race relations, right? Because as long as you have race relations, you have a black community that is the other. And the other has to be found to have a way to be able to be integrated into the normal functioning of society. And as long as you have the other, the way you relate to the other in the race relations format, has to be negotiated on the terms of the ruling class. So I applaud you in doing this because it made me all kinds of things just popped in my mind, and in terms of how we really are still at a stage where we have to have these kind of mechanisms that exist in our society, where just socially engineering results in terms of people's worldview are still precipitated by recycling all of these old, just dried out, ridiculous notions. Look at how and the way in which black capitalism, black excellence, black girl magic, all of these things, all of these kind of race reductionist tropes are being charted out to channel black social, political, and economic behavior in a way that neutralizes any kind of challenge to the overall functioning of the economic normal standards of production in American society, so that there is no challenge to those things at all, but people buy into a more normalized status quo agenda. And it's pretty sick.
Um, I also wanted to get into the history of how all this comes to be and then actually why it failed, because I think in a lot of the stuff that I watched opposed to things I read, because I'm reading more scholarly journals
Hmm.
about the history that's going to tell you, well, these movies stopped making money after a certain time, so Hollywood kind of didn't need it anymore. Um, Also, we're getting into the era of the focus group.
Mm.
So now the ability to market to wider audiences and find out exactly what wider audiences kind of want in a film becomes very important. And one of the big blockbusters of the 70s, one of the first really big ones was Close Encounters.
Really?
And before they even made Close Encounters, they made another movie called like not Deep Six, Deep something. I can't remember what it was. And that was like super focus grouped, super marketed. And they're like, we're going to try this campaign of saturating the hell out of theaters, playing it everywhere. We're going to have it all over TV. We're going to have it all over radio. We're just going to saturate, 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 saturate. And it was a mild success. And then by the time Close Encounters comes out, that's a huge success. Then you see Star Wars, massive success. And what had made a lot of these movies successful was the fact that, and you hear Ron O'Neal mention it, and he's a little wrong. And again, this is all hindsight. People know this stuff now. They don't know if they knew it at the time. Ron O'Neal made a comment that he felt that white people were going to go see Superfly. And I'm sure white people did go see it. But what was making all the money for movies like Sweetback and then Shaft was the fact that deindustrialization had left these urban centers where there were still large movie theaters pretty much just with a bunch of poor black people in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like before this era, black people weren't in movies winning. One of the things that Melvin Van Peebles constantly says up until the day he died was that his movie is the first movie where black people are winning, where they defeat the man. And I don't know if that's necessarily true. Um, Maybe an urban portrayal. Um, but and this is just my opinion. I don't know if you feel differently, and I'd love to hear how you guys feel in the chat. We'll be opening up the phone line shortly. Um, but Melvin Van Peebles to me felt like an artiste and definitely a contrarian. And the image of black film was very refined and dignified. And a lot of things that he had done early in his career was very antithetical to that. And I never felt Spike Lee wanted to be another Melvin Van Peebles. I felt like that whole Fort Greene crew that Spike Lee comes out of um, were trying to show the refined and dignified side of black life because it literally got eviscerated in the early 70s and after so the depending on what you read and who you talk to, Blaxploitation really only lasts from about 71 to 74, even though there are definitely movies that are made after. What comes in the wake of Blaxploitation, I don't even know if you know this, Pascal, is the Blaxploitation karate film.
Wow, we're talking about what's my man Jim
Jim
Kelly?
Kelly. Yeah.
I remember Jim Kelly. Jim Kelly was a bad. Shut your mouth.
Jim Kelly was such a bad actor in the first movie he's in, which is a Western. I can't remember the name of it. They made him a mute native because they're like the best way to keep him from having to talk on camera is just make him mute. He got a little better as he kept doing film, but you know, the blockbuster changed things because they cost more money to make, yeah, but they made so much more money for the studios that these actors that had made good returns on investment early in their career that thought, well, I'm a bankable star. It's like you're a bankable star to a small audience. You're not a bankable star to a wide audience. And then that definitely changes with people like Eddie Murphy. But when you look at even the ascendancy of Murphy, he's not the person that raises the money for Beverly Hills Cop. And I believe we've said this on the show before. Um, Beverly Hills Cop was originally written for Sylvester Stallone.
You mentioned that.
And he did not like the script. And he wanted to make something more gritty, and he didn't think the comedy angle was going to work for him. So he left, signed a deal with Canon Films and did Cobra, which was a huge flop. And Eddie Murphy, of course, does Beverly Hills Cop, and the rest is history for that guy. He's not even the big star of 48 Hours. That's a Nick Nolte film, right?
Nick Nolte has more lines than Eddie Murphy in 48 Hours.
But Eddie Murphy, kind of steals the show and becomes a extremely bankable black star. But in this era, he's kind of the only one. Bill Cosby doesn't have a good transfer to film after the success of the Cosby Show. He makes a really horrible film called Leonard Part 6 that did not do too well at all at the box office.
Well, what's really fascinating is how we go from the 70s to having so many ones to the 80s where we only need one.
Representation, right?
The whole we only need one now is enough. Like, we don't want too many. We just need one.
But also too, you also have a lot of black people. So a lot of the cries, this is also what's really interesting about this time. So again, when you go back and hear the complaints of the actors of the 70s, and I'm so originally, guys, I'll be honest, originally I wanted to air you guys a lot of the stuff that didn't make the movie, which was my favorite part, which was Monique saying, oh, I don't know anything about the ghetto. I was raised in the suburb. I'm middle class. Take that back. I was upper middle class. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's all that's on another computer. I didn't have time to transfer it over. But there's a lot of black people that the complaint is like, well, there's not enough of us in the studios. We're not producers. We're not this. We're not that. There was starting to be a lot more black faces in production that were in the studios actually making legitimate moves in the probably starting in the 60s. So by the time you get to the 80s, there's some black men in positions of power. Barry Gordy in 85, is it? Makes kind of an homage, if you will, to Blaxploitation with The Last Dragon.
I remember that.
But those movies have kind of such a negative connotation because now the 80s are really an era of respectability.
Well, don't forget, we also have the proliferation of capitalized Black popular culture in the
Mm.
80s as well. Like, not only in terms of film and entertainment and music videos, athletes, sports, it's really where like Black popular culture starts to really kind of cake off in terms of its valuation relative to other historical eras and periods of time. And I think that's really when you really start to see how black culture as a vehicle of of valorizing or greenlighting American value systems overall becomes really much more replete, particularly with vehicles like the Cosby Show. It's really interesting how Cosby, which comes about in a period of total reactionary politics, becomes the endemic image of the American Black family at a time where Black people are disproportionately suffering the adverse effects of that same political administration, but yet they are turned into the avatar of the poster child of what is familial success during that same period of time.
Yeah, I mean it's a complicated era, right? Because we're also seeing the rise of a black middle class.
Correct.
There's more black millionaires in places like LA than they've ever had before in this same time. But that doesn't mean, like you said, that every black person is doing well. The vast majority is not doing well. But that is not the image that we want to portray in this era, right? And what's interesting to me about Spike Lee and the rise of Spike Lee, he's a horrible interview. And I just want you guys to know, getting those little clips that you guys got of Spike Lee was hard because he didn't talk much. He was very, very aloof and kind of shy. I think he tried to play coy, if you will. And he's just a shitty interview. And mainly because I think he's a little offended at the way questions are thrown at him. Because I don't believe he wants to be the black filmmaker. I think he was an artiste in his mind that makes these films. He's Black Woody Allen, if anything. And he makes She's Gotta Have It, and everybody loves She's Gotta Have It. I don't know if you remember the hype around that. Do you remember the hype around that?
Yeah, I remember.
And then School Days comes out, and it didn't hit the way I think he thought it was going to hit. It was a success, but there was definitely a lot of black people that watched it. They were like, I don't get it. What is this, a musical? But again, he's telling his story, and it's a side of black life that, for the most part, we haven't really seen probably since the 40s or 50s. Hell, even the 30s.
It's definitely a side that you haven't seen exhibited in film in that particular way. I mean, it's definitely a kind of view. But I mean, also remember, this is post 60s, post Black Power, where so much of Black cultural production is either oppositional or trying to act like there was no opposition, right? So he's coming at a time where there are strong currents of Black popular culture and Black people who are, we just want to get paid and participate in this system. I mean, it's not an accident that in '87 you have Ebony Magazine with that magazine cover where you have the Black middle class. Are you in it or are you not? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there was definitely a strong sense that cats were like, we have arrived. And I have a long memory when I see those things, because when I hear folks today talking about like, yeah, we need reparations and they're like, we've never been done right. I'm like, well, I remember in the '80s when cats were like, we have arrived, the new
Yeah.
Black middle class. If you're down or you're not, and it's just like it's 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 interesting for me watching Black folk go through political changes in terms of the rhetoric of the day, rhetoric du jour. I was telling a friend of mine today, I was like, yo, it's like, 1972 black politics are all in chic all over again. It's like reparations and a black agenda. I said, I guess you guys really didn't realize it is the 50th anniversary of the Gary Convention in 1972. And it's just all black in power again, black in play again.
Well, and to that point, right? In the 20-year anniversary of Gary, you start to get these hood movies. And I think the backlash to Lee, and this is where Lee gets really interesting to me. Do the Right Thing, which is a movie I'm not a huge fan of. I've seen it. I'm not even trying to be funny. Probably like 40 times. And until I watched like a documentary about it, I didn't know it was supposed to be a ghetto because it's just so vibrant and colorful. And to me, it seemed like people didn't really have problems. I was like, I guess this I thought New York, to this day, every time I go to New York, I always think of Spike Lee movies. I'm like, New York is just like the happiest place on earth to me. Fuck Disneyland. But he makes a conscious decision not to put drugs and Do the Right Thing. Because again, still, he doesn't want to be associated with, this underclass ideology. I was talking to Aunt after the show, and she was joking about how Spike Lee and his crew, was it Saul Williams and Rosie Perez and the Hudlin brothers? Like those dudes were like gentrifying Fort Greene in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you think of Spike Lee, now people have definitely negative thoughts on him, but the last thing you would think is gentrifier, because he was the cultural signifier of this is black life. Spike Lee has given it to you raw and uncut. Here's School Days with EU and the butt scene. And, what was interesting to me about School Days is you have the main character, Larry Fishburne's Dap, who's running around talking about divesting from South Africa, but when confronted with poor black people from the neighborhood, he doesn't really have anything to say to them. There's not really much to deal with in that scene. They kind of lick their wounds and go home and then complain more about divesting from South Africa.
School Days is a shallow attempt to make a deep commentary on class contradiction amongst black people that does not do a good job of doing so, because it's so actually shallow in terms of its ability to really pierce how those contradictions really play out.
And, he capitulates to his critics in Jungle Fever, and in my opinion, shoehorns the whole Samuel L. Jackson being the old soft track. I want to get some water real quick. So, it's I think Spike Lee definitely is a beacon to up and coming filmmakers, because film school is still a thing. And John Singleton is definitely a derivative of Spike Lee. And was it you the other night, or was it Touré that was like, Boys in the Hood is an after school special with cursing in it?
That's a Touré line.
Okay. Well, we have a caller, and if you guys don't know, the phone number is on the screen. It's in the corner of the screen. Should be there. On my TV, it's there. Someone says, Jason, watch the director's roundtable with Spike Lee. Dude is a highly educated artist. I never said he wasn't. Spike Lee is extremely highly educated. He comes from a long line of highly educated people. JB says, what about Matty Rich? JB, I tried to watch Straight Outta Brooklyn because in the 90s, I watched any movie with black people in it. I wanted to see every hood film. If you made a hood movie, I wanted to find it and watch it. And I watched Straight Outta Brooklyn. I thought it was trash. And then I went to the theater to see The Inkwell, and I thought that was one of the dumbest films I've ever seen in my life. Hopefully Matty Rich is not a fan of the show, because that would suck. Seemed like a nice guy. So we have a call, Pascal. Let's take this call. Let's see. Caller, what is your name and where are you calling from?
Yo, this is Dr. Claw calling from Cleveland, Ohio.
Shit. Dr. Claw, what did you think?
I thought it was a great essay. I loved the thread um, between going from the '70s and into the '80s and into the '90s, the evolution of blaxploitation as a concept, and how the industry kind of it was interesting to see the illustration of how a lot of actors got so typecast they couldn't find work after that. So I thought that was great. One of my favorite parts of it was a little bit when you were talking about the creation of Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song, and mentioned that Cosby basically dropped 1/3 of the movie's budget on there. So that was dope. I like that. Really good commentary. And yeah, I definitely noticed in the '80s the suburbanization of popular culture, particularly in movies and film and things like that. But you saw it in other works of art too. So I always, anytime y'all talk about the '80s culture in that context, I always get a grin on my face because,
so it's funny that so think about this for a second, Claw. I was watching. So the things I can watch are limited here in Mexico. And I was watching National Lampoon's Vacation, the first one. I used to love that film. I've watched it too many times, right? As I'm watching it, there's the scene where Chevy Chase makes the wrong turn. First of all, I'm yelling at the TV. I'm yelling at the TV. I've never yelled at the TV during this scene. Pascal, I was yelling at the TV, brother, because I've driven the way he's driving to Kansas, because the whole thing is they have to drive to LA, but they have to go to Kansas for. So I know how to get there. It's a pretty direct shot on an interstate, and I'm getting all pissed off as I'm watching it because I'm like, for them to go to St. Louis was so unnecessary. And what's that guy's name? John Hughes loved shoehorning in the ghetto is a horrible place and the people there are horrible people in a lot of his movies. That was always where trouble was going to happen. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That's where the people take the car. I don't think he did Vacation, but there's another film he did where the ghetto. I can't remember off the top of my head. He doesn't do too much ghetto stuff, but that scene was just so unnecessary. But in these movies in the 80s, it was like, if I have to show you black people, then I have to show you black people in their element, and that's going to be them shucking and jiving and usually robbing you in an inner city environment.
Yeah, I knew exactly what scene you were going to mention to that, because one of the movies of that series that I had seen in the last few years was the Christmas Vacation movie, and there was one scene in that movie that made, there was a couple of things in that movie that really made me laugh my ass off. First of all, was the caricature of the next door neighbors to the Griswolds. They were like these two, like, super yuppie, I forget, they had prestige, quote unquote, prestige professions. They had all of this, fancy, like, Art Deco type, furniture. And you kind of just knew what kind of people these people were. They definitely would have owned, I don't say they only exist in the 80s, but the way they were presented in the 80s, they had sobs in the driveway. This was a particular kind of liberal, progressive 80s, person that lived next door. The other thing that made me crack up was the scene where Chevy Chase is going down the slopes. It looks like he might have been skiing or something. He ends up going down this hill, ends up going through the middle of a Walmart in the late 80s. So that really made me laugh, because you think about back then, Walmart didn't have like the national domination it does now. He was this kind of suburban curiosity to a lot of America, and seeing that always made me laugh. One of the when we're talking about the 70s, there's one cultural artifact that I always find kind of curious. We talk about the rise of the black middle class and the perception of those on TV. There was this short-lived television show, I guess it was one of those movie of the week type deals, called Tenafly. It was produced by the same people who did Columbo. And I think the actor's name is Thomas McEachern. I saw clips of it on YouTube, and I found it very curious because here was this black police guy, or investigator. Basically, the plot is Columbo but black. But when you see his family in the beginning, it's just like totally middle class, like scenario. The wife and 2 kids, and getting them to eat their breakfast and take their stuff out of the lawn and put it in the garage, and then back in his car out of his like neighborhood. And definitely some kind of new development. And I imagine that was a very interesting sight in that era, especially given what kind of other shows featured black people on television in that era. So I know that's kind of an early example of the respectability politics that would definitely dominate the 80s television paradigm. There was a lot of family sitcoms with black leads in that era. Charlie and Company with Flip Wilson and Gladys Knight is one of them that comes to mind. Even stuff like Amen, the Cosby Show. All those. There was a lot of shows like that in the 80s. Some of them didn't always last that long. The new Odd Couple, where they basically again took the Odd Couple and just made them black.
Yeah.
Yes, with Lamont and Ron Glass. So the 80s, that's always a very curious. I always like talking about that because another thing about a lot of people my age or so, we tend to get kind of nostalgic over retail stores and things that were like products that were around in that era. And I always describe particularly a certain sector of the 80s as like the neoliberal fever dream. You start talking about that stuff to people who weren't there, and they just their eyes would just bulge, like just thinking about how these things got excited. They had like monuments to retail capitalism in that era. There's monuments, and they're dying off. You don't see stuff like that.
What do I always say at the end of the show? Enjoy the capitalist realism of my childhood, because I watched 22-minute commercials for action figures, and still find myself looking at the action figures. Now I don't have anymore, but I was watching. I follow on Instagram a channel, and it's like or a page, and they just play old Star Wars toys commercials. And I find myself fascinated by watching that, because there was something about that era where I believe we are the first era that is just constantly being marketed to that level. If you're a Gen Xer,
yes, like
you're being stuck in front of the television, and that's going to be your babysitter. And this is what you're going to do. You're going to watch TV. You're going to eat advertisements, and that's why I always say, well, what do we expect for the next generation?
There is so much so many stories you can pull from that specific era in time. Mm-hmm. The commercials on television, the way of the programming, the whole parents groups that were pushing back on that and made you put those little G.I. Joe educational ads in the middle of the ads. Mm-hmm. The relentless ads of everything on television. And this kind of culture that was built, at least if you lived in certain areas, certain culture built upon those material items. That was, I think I saw that so many times. I think that looking back on those times, like my memories of those times in particular, I think I can remember one of the first times class consciousness started to tingle in my head when I went to go visit my family in the South, in the rural South in particular, and saw how different it was versus where I was living in Indiana or in New York. It was just like a totally different kind of place. People live differently. And I was trying to figure out, well, why do all the people live over here and they have these things, and then the people back home have this and this? Mm-hmm. So, those little questions used to get in their head. And I think that's what started my journey. It just took years to evolve. But I always appreciate these discussions. I really appreciate these video essays. Like I said, I think because I know on one of the shows, it might have been Gaming Materialism, you had the guy from the one YouTube channel about toys, and
Dan Larson.
Blanking on his name. But he was on the show. Yeah, Dan Larson was on the show. I bet you guys could really, like, there was a show like completely about that era, because one of the things that's kind of interesting, there's two things I find very interesting about the topic, particularly on the toy topic, for example. The way that all of these toy companies, Kenner, which was based out of Cincinnati, Cincinnati, Ohio, Ohio Art. There was a whole bunch of toy companies in the 80s. And over the years, pretty much all of them folded into either Hasbro or Mattel. Hasbro out of Rhode Island, and I don't remember where Mattel's from. I think it's from somewhere in the Midwest. They folded into those two companies. And Hasbro is kind of like the Disney of toy owners because they have all of these IPs from the 80s and beyond. Like all the board games, Star Wars, all of that
Transformers.
Stuff. That's an interesting topic.
As Dan Larson says, so they had until all are one.
That's their motto, until all are one.
Hasbro until all are one. Dan jokes because Hasbro owns everything. He's not. They own Voltron. They own. Claw's not
the Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles. Yeah, Claw's not making a light statement. Hasbro owns almost every major property except for Barbie.
Wow.
Yeah, and the Mattel, like if Hasbro doesn't own it, Mattel does.
Yeah.
They own GoBots. The big, biggest Tonka, the company that made GoBots, they own them too. So it's kind of funny to see like the factions that were bred in the age of ultimate like neoliberal fever dream are now under the same like umbrella as under monopoly capitalism. The other topic that comes out of that I find absolutely hilarious because they own everything and because, people that were kids in those times are now old people that may have some disposable income if they were lucky enough to hit the lottery in their adult years, the employment lottery, I mean. There is a huge collector's market for recreations and like big time recreations of these old toys from every IP you can imagine. I mean, and I've seen the prices of these things. Being a good friend of mine talk about those. I'm like, man, I don't know.
It's marketed towards
who
adults.
Is keeping this business?
Yeah, it's marketed.
Right.
It's marketed
towards
adults.
I don't know who is. And the fact that they can turn a profit on this, man, I'm telling you, that's one of the frontiers of monopoly capitalism. They don't really talk about. Yeah, I mean, so much comes out of this, and I know this is kind of spinning off this whole corporate. I do have a question for both you and Pascal, though. Would you consider like the Cosby and other like sitcoms of the 80s that are in that same vein that were trying to be the new Cosby, sort of in the same paradigm of Blaxploitation, the respectability side of it?
I think. What do you say, Pascal?
I mean, all of it is based on projecting a unified notion of Black identity that is supposed to be authentic for the purposes of socially controlling expectations. So there's always some type of exploitation, if you will, of this kind of illusion of Blackness. I was talking to Jason about this when he was still producing his video essay. One of the things that's always the most fascinating about all of these shows, in all of this time, and how obsessed people are with Blackness and depictions of Blackness, is how people fail to realize that Blackness as a concept in the Black consciousness was incredibly a new thing that didn't even really exist in the 50s. That Blackness as a cultural and social identifier really takes off with Malcolm X and really much more into Black Power with the Black Panther Party. But in the early 60s and the late 50s, you got to remember there were people who were still priding themselves on being the new Negro, which is a new Negro movement. It's something that goes back to the early 20th century.
Yeah, absolutely. And Pascal, there was one comment that you made that really rung the bell for me about how with the current reparations politics, and I talked about on another call, that in the 80s and maybe even some of the 90s, that didn't exist. There were people who were celebrating like entering the middle class, and there wasn't too much of this. And where you did hear it, and this is one of the things I found very interesting, where you did hear stuff like that, you would occasionally hear it in hip hop. And I'm mostly thinking of Willie D from the Ghetto Boys, who nowadays you can find on YouTube. He has a channel the politics that you hear from, like, say, Kevin Samuels and such is on like the same kind of like ideological plane, in my opinion. But I remember hearing a lot of that stuff coming out of his music in the early '90s. He had a song about Rodney King, where he did not take the popular position on it. And when you pick those lyrics apart, he's calling out politicians by name. It sounds almost exactly like what you hear out of a lot of the reparation-centric and ethnocentric politics that you hear nowadays. And like some of the same talking points almost. And it's really interesting to hear. It's capitalism, but it's like, you know, cut the check capitalism. So I find that very interesting. He doesn't really get a lot of credit for that. And his YouTube channel's on that same vibe. He has tons of subscribers. But I wonder if like a lot of the people who watch it like listen to his music and really pick up that message from his music, because he's been on that stuff for a long time. That's all I wanted to say about those things.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Claw. And we will hopefully hear from you or see you tomorrow, or see us tomorrow, because we're going to be doing our news wrap-up show tomorrow.
Correct.
Oh yeah, I'll be in the chat.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Claw.
Hey, thanks.
All right, peace.
Well, all right.
So yeah, guys, we're going to be here for a little bit longer. Remember, this is the free call-in show. Usually this is behind a paywall for patrons. And because we're not going to do our patron champagne room tomorrow, because we're doing this show, and then I am booking it out of here after our Thursday night show to go up north and see my friends and family for the first time in a minute. I'm very excited. My son's excited.
You gonna see Phoenix as well?
Oh man, he's excited. Well, you know, after like Saturday, I think I get to see him. But
sounds awesome, man.
He's calling, and he called me early this morning to let me know that we're gonna fix his boat. I don't know what that means, but I bought him a boat, and I don't know if it's broken or if he just wants to put it together. But he's like, "We're gonna fix the boat." All right, we'll fix the boat.
It's like signing you up for tasks.
Yeah, yeah. Like I got well, you know, when I went back up last time, he stayed up till 3 a.m. Like every time I dozed off, he'd be like, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy," and he didn't even want to show me. I think he just want to play with his toys in front of me. So, hey, if that's what he wants to do, I'm here for it.
That's what's up.
But oh, look, we have another call. We have another call. Caller, what is your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Evan Gillian. I'm calling from Virginia.
Well, thank you for the call, Evan. Shout out to Virginia. What is your question and or comment?
Question or comment. I definitely need to go back and catch the video essay. Didn't kind of missed it. Sorry about that. But one thing that stood out to me was Pascal's point talking about how I can't remember specifically. It was primarily on how Black cultural production was used in trying to incorporate Black culture into the acceptive group, if I'm remembering correctly.
In the 80s, yeah.
You wanna get clarity?
Yeah, we're talking about how shows like the Cosby Show were used to incorporate Black cultural production into the expectation that it was a part of the normal American value system.
Yes. One thing that really pointed out to me when you talked about that was it was really thinking about it really pointed out to me about particularly about the play Hamilton on Broadway, particularly in how in regard to it being colorblind casting and casting a lot of actors actors of color. In one respect, if you ask say the person behind it, it's in a way of incorporating Black and brown people into the history of American history, saying this is also our history, and it comes to me, and it kind of stands out to me that a play like that, that a musical like that could mainly only been brought about in the Obama era, in where you saw a lot more of the lot more of the Black excellence rhetoric being brought to the forward, as well as the Black respectability in the Obama administration at the time. And that was just something that that I thought about.
Very, very, very astute observation of yours, without a doubt. How at the same time you have Obama being incorporated into ruling class functionality, you have this play Hamilton that is a kind of like absurdist kind of narrative where you have Black folk who are literally during the period of plantation slavery incorporated into the ruling class. So it's an interesting kind of play on how race is incorporated into the overall functionality of American society at a high level.
Yeah, that was very, very stood out to me in the same way, because I don't want to drag this too long, but particularly in my point growing up, there was a lot of talk of representation, particularly in popular culture, say it be geek culture, which I know Jason might be more familiar with, especially now, if you look in pop culture with the rise of superhero culture, and it was just the way you expressed that made me think about how that rhetoric was expressed growing up, and it made me understand what in a way how it is that rhetoric is used. I'm sorry if I'm stuttering a lot here.
Hey, take your time. It's okay. Remember, I'm paying for this for the second. So you're fine, brother. Look, the superhero thing for me, I remember I worked a what's the big San Diego Comic-Con. I was doing an activation for San Diego Comic-Con, and this little Black boy, Pascal, it was so cute. He couldn't have been more than 3 or 4. And he was Thor. He had the whole armor piece. He had his little Thor hammer. He had the helmet, and he had a little blonde thing behind him that was blowing in the wind, right? And he's walking. And his parents are behind him, of course. And everybody is stopping and taking pictures of this kid. Now, if you've ever been to Comic-Con, it's the insane cosplayers come out. I'm talking to people dressed like legit stormtroopers from Star Wars, every superhero you can think of. Then the major motion picture companies are doing activations, and they have, either not the real actors or people dressed like real actors or characters from different things. So costuming is on a whole other level. And this little kid isn't wearing anything more than like a Halloween costume. But it was with the conviction that he was walking. Like, I'm going to Comic-Con and I'm going to see Thor. And he got more attention, this little Black boy, than anybody else. And it was just cute. Kids, I'm a dad, so kids to me are cute. And the same way that kid was kind of being treated is kind of how I felt about Black Panther. People lost their minds. People lost their minds on the idea of Wakanda. And finding that clip of the Jimmy Fallon show, and I had to watch it. You got to watch it multiple times so you cut it at the right part. And how much do I want to keep? Is it too long? The 5th time I had to watch it through, I got emotional. Maybe it's because Chadwick Boseman is dead. I never felt anything ill about him. I don't even feel anything bad about Ryan Coogler. It's just a movie, right? I honestly don't think Ryan Coogler, who's literally from where I'm from, he's from Richmond, California. I don't think he sees Africa any different than the average cat does, right? But when you saw people referring to Chadwick Boseman as their king,
it's man.
And then doing this shit when they see him, and you see his reaction, and I've always felt like his reaction. Because let's just extrapolate, Chad. And this is also to your point, caller. Chadwick Boseman played 2 of the most iconic Negroes in the history of Negrodom, at least in the 20th century. He played Thurgood Marshall and Jackie Robinson. But he will always be remembered as frickin' T'Challa, a fictional character for a fictional monarchy. Not one person was like, "Oh man, your portrayal of Thurgood Marshall, that was great." No. That mom that says, "My son got to have Obama." And now you.
It's so disturbing to me how much like the need to like vindication. It's like, yes, we must see an African homeland pure from any type of colonial influence. Because again, it projects this notion of like Black people are in need of some kind of emotional therapy to heal them from the damages of the evil white gaze, and it's so absolutely self-pathologizing, man.
It's the whole thing. So Black representation, and I remember that really bad Fantastic Four where they tried to have Michael B. Jordan play the Human Torch, and now I don't know if you guys are aware. If you go back and look at our clips playlist, one of the early clips we did was a joke, and it's a real thing though, about the Black Superman. Pascal, that's coming out next year, I believe.
What is that?
Michael B. Jordan as Black Superman.
Black Superman?
Remember Obama Superman? We're making fun.
That really they still doing?
That's a really thing. Yeah, it's coming out. I'm not sure if it's coming out. So when the caller talked about representation, it's like, well, now you're going to get an ass full of it. You're going to get a bunch of woke. You know what you're going to get. You know what I see coming, and I need you guys to help me because I'm feeling sad. If y'all see me in California this weekend, just give me a hug. Chesa Boudin getting recalled made me sad because I met Chesa on in few different occasions, and he's always been super cool, right? And he got recalled for doing what he said he was going to do. And I feel like we're moving in an era where that moment of 2016 where people were really feeling collectively good about we were going to vote in people, and we were going to go for programs, we were going to be about the idea of socialism, got lost in a fetishization of politicians. And because of that, there's going to be a failure because none of these guys had any movements really behind them, because there is no movements. And now we're falling back into just a shit ton of anti-racism. Like the awakening has turned into the I don't even know what you would call this moment. The intersectional anti-racism of people like Mayor London Breed that's able to say, don't listen to these white socialists because I'm a black woman that grew up in the ghetto. So I really know what's good for people, not these people. And what's good for you is bigger police budget and not a district attorney that's going to have diversion programs for Negroes we need to lock up. So this is a dark time, if you will.
Yeah, man, it's a rough time, but rough times create opportunities.
Got any last words, Colin?
Well, not just really, just think I followed at least the past year. Really enjoyed the show. Really need to get. I'm gonna get to that video essay as soon as I can. Have a good night, Jason. Hope I didn't derail the show too much.
You're all right, brother. You did all right, brother. Thank you for the call.
Brother, you fine, man. You're fine. And thank you for calling. And please watch the video essay. Leave me a comment. Say, I'm the dude that called in the show, and this is what I think, and you should change this, and I hate the music. Whatever you got to say, leave a comment.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, brother. Peace.
Thanks, Jason. Have a good night.
All right, brother.
I actually effed up because I'm supposed to give M. Toussaint the login so she could be with us on the show and say good night and have her comments. Do you have to go, Pascal?
I do kind of have to go, as a matter of fact.
Okay, well, go ahead and take off because we have a big tomorrow, as usual.
And Saturday.
And then your Saturday. Yeah, I won't be there Saturday.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the conversation, comrades. Thank you for checking out our show. Tomorrow, check out our news roundup on This Is Revolution podcast. Jason will be away on the weekend. We will have Vaughn talking about the future of the left in the current political moment.
Ooh.
And that should be a good episode as well. And I will check you guys out soon. We'll see you tomorrow. And
before you go, are you going to have an article or something written soon?
Probably by Friday.
Oh, shit. Okay. Well, I will let you do your thug thizzle, brother.
We are out.
Peace. M. Toussaint, if you're there, don't hang up. I want to bring you on air so you can do your thing. I apologize that I effed up and didn't send you the link. That's my bad. I'm not gonna lie. Getting this done, this was a Herculean effort for me to get this thing done, and I definitely forgot a few things along the way. So M. Toussaint, I just sent you the link on an IM, so please come in so you can say goodnight to the people, because I'm not going to hang up. I'm not going to stop this stream, Toussaint, until you log in and say good. There you go. You got tired of me talking. You got tired of me talking, didn't you?
Well, I really don't have much to say. I don't have much of a thing to do. But God bless and good night.
Come on.
Thanks for coming out.
You're not going to Russell Simmons me right now. You are not going to Russell Simmons me right now. Look. Here's the dealio. Is that what you young people say? The dealio?
Yeah, 20 years ago.
First of all, Toussaint. So Toussaint and I have these long off-air conversations. And I was showing Toussaint scenes of this horrible film that I'm still trying to finish. Toussaint, I didn't finish the movie last night. I went to sleep again.
You didn't finish. Did you eat?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I made some really, man. Yes.
Good. Feel good about that.
You know what's sad? I have this really nice place and I cook hella well. I'm like, why am I still single?
Oh, Jesus.
Why?
Again with this. Well, you already put the call out for people who see you to hug you. So,
it's going to be scary if someone tackles the shit out of me and I get hugged.
Big bear hug.
So I watched more of that movie,
Mm-hmm.
and it gets even more insane than the things that I explained to you tonight.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to watch it with the boys.
How it ends. It's called Fly By Night, people. I've never heard of it before. And like I said, You got to watch it. You have to watch Fly By Night.
Okay.
It's again,
Yeah.
I'd never heard of it, and it's from 1992. It's starring MC Light, and it's the most amazing movie about rap I've ever seen, because it is some of the worst rap I've ever seen. And the rap M Toussaint doesn't get better.
It doesn't.
Oh, it gets
No.
exponentially worse.
Oh man.
Like, you know how you think you've seen it all? No.
That the clip you showed me, I have never seen that before in life. I've never seen anything even remotely close to that. Like, who does that? Who
Who
thinks that up
does
and
that?
puts it in a script?
Who does that?
Unbelievable.
Like, they do things in that movie, and I'm like, who does that?
Yep. Gangsters, not that creative.
It's not even like gangster shit. It's like, you're just kind of weird, dude.
Yeah.
So it's called Fly By Night. It came out in 1992. Check it out. Leave me a comment and tell me what you guys think about it if you watch it, because I haven't seen the very end, but there's just Toussaint. It just takes more turns into what the fuckery. I don't even have words.
Oh man.
It really is. Like, I think the people that wrote it had never seen a black person.
Until they casted them for the role.
Yeah, they were like, and then I think they wrote the raps themselves. It was like, the words just need to rhyme. We can write words that rhyme, and then it's
Trying to save money. Make the actors rhyme.
dude. I want to play a clip of it so bad.
You can't though, right? You know.
No.
Okay.
No, because if I play a clip of this movie, it's gonna get taken down, and not gonna be able to. Like, I already can't monetize the video essay.
Right.
Is it the step up of rap movies? You wish it was the step up of rap movies.
Yeah,
I'm not Ivan. I don't know you, Ivan. I don't know you from fucking Adam, and I'm gonna tell this to you, to your face through the screen. This movie is the most ridiculous portrayal of hip hop I have ever seen.
Yes.
I've seen Crushed Groove. I've seen rapping. I've seen both breaking movies.
Did you see Fat Beach?
Hell yeah, I saw Fat Beach. Did I see it multiple times?
You
Yep.
can see the microphones, the boom microphones.
Oh, yeah, there's a couple shots where you can see the booms on these.
And there was a scene where a guy had a haircut, and the next scene he doesn't have that haircut.
So Patrick says, Baps, I've seen Baps. I went to the movie theater to see House Party 3. I've seen House Party 4. I watched every Def Comedy Jam. I watched Comic View. I watched Video Soul Vibrations and Rap City. Okay. I have seen it all until I saw this movie.
Tell them the era so they
it's
can get
1992, but they're rapping like it's 1987.
Yes, they are.
Which doesn't make any sense.
It's so bad.
And there's a scene where the rapper that is from the well-to-do neighborhood that has a college education gets mad because people are telling him that he shouldn't rap because he's trying to rap with a gangster dude. And the gangster, you want to know what the gangster dude's rap name is, Toussaint?
Let's hear it.
It's I. His rap name is I.
No.
You know what the rich dude's name is? His rap name is King.
King?
King. So it's the King and I.
And I. Gross.
And so he's mad that people tell him that he's not down
Mm-hmm.
because he went to college.
Oh.
And I think you watched the scene, Toussaint, when the dude tells him, "You know what time it is." And then the rich dude looks at his watch. I'm like, who the fuck asked somebody what time it is? And so apparently they end up forming the rap group, Da King and I, right? And the I dude, the gangster dude who can't read apparently, freestyles a song about rape.
Fun.
And remember, as Toussaint is saying, you have to remember the era. I don't remember too many rap rape songs.
They were not on that wave.
You know, there's a difference between suck my dick and it's really cool and it was consensual. That's different.
Yes.
Then like straight up, I'm gonna take it.
Yeah.
The hook of the song was I am not part of the human race. I can't even see your face.
Wow. That is so dark. That is morbidly obese. Wow.
So the rich kid goes, man, that's definitely dark. Why don't you write that down? And the guy goes, you write it down. So then the guy dictate fucking rape rhymes. And so the dude goes, well, isn't this going to be like embarrassing to say? Because this whole thing is like, the ladies love me because I'm really tall. Look, I got smooth ass balls. Like he's the good looking guy. Okay. And that's not a rhyme. He says, I freestyle that. But
okay.
He says he's not too far off. But his whole thing is like, I'm the ladies' man, and this guy, I don't even know what other role the other guy plays. He looks like a psychopath on stage. And so they do the rape rap. And then a white woman,
two words together.
Rape rap. You didn't know that was a hot genre with all the young people?
It's drill and rape rap.
They do the rape rap. And what's funny is there's another actual rapper who has this 40-year-old white DJ, and I'm still trying to figure out their relationship because they don't explain it in the movie.
He looks like a straight up dad.
He looks
like, no offense, I know you're a father of 27, but that dude looks so out of place.
And they don't explain it in the movie. They don't explain it in the movie. So anyway, when those guys rap, they actually make like music that sounds like music of that era. It's not good, but it sounds like music of that era, and people in the club are dancing. Yeah. When the dudes, the King and I, do their rape song, people are moving their heads, but they can't even pretend dance. And so as the rich guy that's not from the hood is doing his rape rap, he just looks hella sad. He's like seriously making a sad face. And then a white woman walks in on a date. And this scene in this movie, like, please, I want you guys, please watch this movie and give me your critiques of it as well. He walks in. She walks in with her date, who's a white man. He looks 40 as well. It's almost like we're looking for a 40-year-old white man to do teenager stuff. He walks in with this younger white woman, and she's dressed kind of like she just fell out of a Madonna video in 91. And someone says, do I watch Fly By Night stoned? I would say watch it sober, because if you're high, you're not going to believe what you saw.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just from the clip I saw. Yes, that makes sense.
And if you're triggered by any sort of like trans abuse, trans exploitation, gay slurs, violence, I'm warning you now. This movie has all of those things like in the first 10 minutes. And they make
I
no
only
sense.
I only saw a clip and got a fair amount of that. It's a whole salad, is what that is.
It was like
It's a soup and a salad. It's a lot.
so so like so the white woman walks in
Hmm.
and it's like black dudes, right? Because it's a rap club. And the guy goes, "You sure you want to come here? I got tickets to Les Mis." And she's like, "Oh, fuck Les Mis. This is where real shit happens." And so the white guy's walking around and she walks into this section of the club and she looks and it's just black dudes, big black dudes, and they're scary looking black dudes and they got sunglasses and they're all like, and they got pagers on their waist. They're looking black. And she looks over at the guy and she goes, "You're not having a good time, are you?" He's like, "Nah." She goes, "You can go. It's totally cool. I've been here before." He's like, "All right, have a good night." And he just leaves her.
Wow.
I was scared of some of these black. I was like, why do these dudes look so mean? She stays and then she sees the dude reluctantly doing his rape rhyme.
Hmm.
And as she hears it, she's like, "Hey."
Oh, what? Who wrote this? Who wrote this?
And so dude looks over and he's like, "Oh, you like this?" So he starts leaning into his rape rhyme.
Outrageous.
And so then he goes to the bar and she's trying to buy him a drink and they're talking and he looks over and his cousin, who is played by Daryl Chill Mitchell, is just like making out with some random woman.
Oh, of course.
I'm like, damn, I guess they had groupies in the 90s. And so he's talking to the chick and he's looking over there like, damn, that sucks. And he's talking to her and she's like, "I want you to come home with me." Or no, she goes, "You want to come back to my place?" or something like that. And he's like, "Yep." And then bam, they just do it. I was like, he just did a song about like raping the shit out of people with his super rapey ass rap partner. And you want him in your home?
Yeah.
That's like a thing?
It's not. I promise.
And it's not like he's famous. He's just the dude on open mic night.
It's just the elevated platform, like 1 foot, that can count for a lot for some people.
Like, who the hell? Like, who does that happen to?
Dude.
It's gonna look. I'm gonna go do this live thing in New York because this movie took place in New York on June 26th. You know what's not gonna happen to me? That is not. None of us. There's not
No.
one person on that panel that's gonna happen to.
You are gonna get platonic hugs. That's what's gonna happen. You're gonna get a ton of platonic hugs when you come to New York. It's gonna be great.
I'm okay with that. I'm all for
Okay.
that. I'm all
Nice.
for it. I'm actually right now, the way I'm feeling, that would be great.
Wholesome.
What's not great is watching that movie. And then I guess this guy has a relationship with this woman. And so after that, then she's like, "I want you to meet my mom and I'm having a birthday party and I want your group to perform at my birthday party." But then there's like children at her birthday party.
What?
And I'm like, why don't I even understand?
Is it
So
gonna
Cullen
be the
says, "Jason, you know how many
race
women loved Eminem?" Eminem. Cullen, when that second Eminem album came out, I remember sitting at Coach Will Lou's basement where we recorded music, whatever year that was, 98, 99, when that second record came out. And we put that song on. "Bitch, I'm gonna kill you. You don't want to fuck with me." We were like, damn, Eminem is hard.
Mm-hmm.
There was wordplay in that.
Right.
Many things he said about his wife and various ways to. I think the first 3 records he's killing his wife in various ways and his mom and all this other shit. He's definitely working out a lot of trauma in those first 3 records, right?
Mm.
With some cool style over great music and whatever. I'm a problematic individual. That being said, I listened. Trump says, Jason, did you have the G? I've watched the Gigi Allen story in Orlando, Florida with Jay Velarde. Shit you not. I'm telling you, I've never heard rhymes like because they're just so goddamn bad. Like there's nothing fucking witty about it at all.
No, in the clip you showed me when the guy was performing, okay, it was going as rap concerts go, and the music is going, and then the beat drops out. And remember, I told you that's the part where you're supposed to say something dope. He did not. He did not. He just something about I don't even know. What a letdown,
Dude.
And then the DJ.
I remember, and if you watch that part, that you're like, the first thing I thought was, oh, he totally failed this audition because that's the worst verse I've ever heard in my life. And why are they doing this? And who the fuck has a rap audition?
I need chat to
unsigned
explain
group.
to Jason that's not a thing. Even
Who
in New
does
York.
that?
Even in New York, not a thing.
That, you know what, Toussaint? Unless Pete Rock comes up to the New York thing and says, yo, word is bond. That's not how we get down. And then walks away. I'm going to believe that everyone in New York has a goddamn audition before they can join a group. Dude had to go to like another area of town.
Mm-hmm.
Some Mad Max ass part of Giuliani's New York.
It was bombed out. Like, why are you even here? Yeah.
When
So
you're doing evil rape rhyme,
weird.
that's probably where you're getting your inspiration.
Oh man.
So part of the group, Duh King and I,
Mm-hmm.
that I found out, one dude in the group is a drug dealer, and he literally deals drugs while on stage.
Wait. I think that I think that has happened before. I think there are rappers who have done that.
He deals like that's his only job is just to deal drugs.
It's pretty
He's not a
rare.
hype man. He doesn't like have a mic and say yeah.
He just deals drugs.
He just like walked over and he handed someone drugs and he walked back.
Why?
I was like, what do they think rap is?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yes,
Good night
Kelly, there
today.
is a real group called Duh King and I. If this is Duh King and I don't think it is. I don't know. No, this isn't them. There are some real rappers in it. Like I said, MC Light is the star of the movie.
We haven't even mentioned any of that. I haven't seen her in the clip I saw.
My MC Light comments.
I didn't see her in the clip you showed me. We haven't even gone to that. I'm gonna watch it with the boys, and it should be a good time. I'll tell them to be sober.
I think because when that news I started watching Stone, I was like, I think if you watch it Stone, it may be a much better film. I want you to have a very sober take.
Yeah.
Because I keep trying to watch it, and I keep falling asleep towards because I just have to see how it ends at this point. I don't even understand why this dude would want to have rap be his goal.
It's 90 minutes long, and you made it a mini series. A little bit every night. It's so weird. It's like a dream. Okay. Finish it.
This movie is Like I said, I have no words for
Yeah.
this film.
Good night, Sune. He went to sleep.
It's called, and again, keep in mind, I had to watch a lot of black shit for this video essay.
You did.
So I dove into the deep end of the pool in Negronia for this. And this movie, just I can't get out of the pool now. So Cullen says, "Who's the man?" Cullen, I went to the movie theater with my very good friend, Lewis. I'll say his last name. And we went to go see Who's the Man in Berkeley on Shattuck Avenue. Jason's line in the comment section says 10 out of 10.
Ivan is calling you out.
Ivan,
big time.
last night, Toussaint and I were talking, and I'm reading Toussaint the comments.
Yes.
And I was, but after I showed her the clip, there's comments that say the beats in this movie are incredible, dog. Like when the beats come in, when the rhymes, this is when hip hop was pure. I was like, ew. Like you live in a land where this was dope?
It's comments from another movie, man. Like,
yes.
I don't know what they saw.
Yes. This movie is like, you ever watch a really good movie and you're like, man, that was so good, and there's nothing else you don't know what to follow it with?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you see Juice for the first time, you're like, oh damn, who's got the juice now? And then someone's like, oh, you know, if you like Juice, you'll love Fly By Night. Came out right after Juice.
No.
And then you put Fly By Night on because it's gonna satisfy the itch for a gritty hip hop movie, but you're gonna be like, this is like Juice, but not good.
It's not like Juice. It's not.
Like, it's just stereotypes. But exaggerated stereotypes in a way that you're like, I don't think anyone here knows what rap is.
It was just so weird. I keep thinking about the DJ. He looks like an extra on Home Improvement. How did you get in this movie?
He like the DJ has to be a 40-year-old white man.
So weird.
And you're like, I don't understand. Not that 40-year-old white man in 1992 can like hip hop.
But he did not look the type at all.
Yeah.
I think he was wearing like a Old Navy fleece.
You know what he was dressed like? You ever seen the movie Commando?
Okay.
Remember the bad guy in Commando?
Gosh. I haven't seen nearly as many movies as you just said.
He looks like the bad guy. He dressed like the outfit
I could see
of the
that,
bad
though.
guy in Commando.
I could see that though. It's like army green.
I
concert.
haven't read a comment. I'm not into rap, but I gotta say I like this movie. If you like that movie, then you totally believe in the Super Predator.
Yes.
If you like that movie, you lock your doors, even when they're already locked, when black people are on the radio. They're not even in the physical vicinity.
Wow. You heard their voices.
Voice sounded urban.
That movie's wild. I like the comment where the guy was like, I've never seen this movie, but I'm in it. Like, okay. So weird.
Yeah, the channel says the guy with the weird mesh tank top. Yes. There's a DJ character that's a 40-some-year-old white man, and he raps with a young black boy, and you're like, is this what happened to Dudley in the Different Strokes episode?
No.
Is this?
Don't say that about Dudley. Oh, that hurt my heart. Oh my
Do
god!
you remember?
Wow.
Do you remember that episode?
Yes, it was a very special episode.
A very special Different Strokes. So I'm gonna assume. So okay, now the movie makes more sense. That's supposed to be Dudley, and that's the guy from the bike shop. And that's why that young black kid is with this 80-year-old white man playing in his dad's basement.
Oh my gosh.
Or they actually go playing in his basement.
I can't. The movie, the comments, it's just I only saw like 10 minutes less. It's unbelievable, indescribable. This movie.
Because it's just so. I'm like, I don't know anyone like you. There's nothing like any of this.
Unbelievable.
Like the main character gets kicked out of his girlfriend's place because I guess he wants to be a rapper. I think
That's a good reason to kick somebody out.
like if you're not gonna be here and fucking not rap, like that's how you know your rap sucks. When your girl is like, look, dude, you got a choice to make. Either you can keep your good ass union job, or you can pretend to be a horrible rapper from 1984, even though it's 1992. But you can't do both. You can't answer both. You can't pray to both gods. So she kicks him out, and then she comes back later in the movie and then tells him that he could have come home whenever he wanted to because he's got a key still. It's
Okay.
like, how does that even work?
I can come home whenever I want to. I still have a key.
She was like, you still had a key? You could have came back. And then she yells at him and then looks at their son and goes, take a look at this man. This is the last time you're ever going to see your daddy again. And
What?
they leave. I'm like, damn.
Who does that?
That's
I'm sure
rough.
somebody's done it, honestly.
I mean, people do it, but there's a reason behind it. It's not because your dad sucks at rapping. This nigga is so whack, I can't have him be your daddy.
It was really bad, though.
What would you do? Like, you could never win a battle.
Oh, man.
People would just be like, hey, they wouldn't even have to make a rhyme. Like, didn't your girl tell your son that you ain't shit?
Oh, my God. Don't let Pusha T get a hold of that story.
Like, someone should reboot this movie, but in the DJ Vlad era. So
My God.
oh, she gets mad at him because apparently he's gallivanting with a rich white woman all over town.
That's not the one from the concert.
Oh, the one from the concert. Yeah, he starts dating her.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, she has a house.
Just like Madonna.
She has a house. She has a nice apartment.
That's important.
It is when you're a homeless, shitty rapper that literally makes songs about raping people.
Wow.
Having a girlfriend with a home is going to be like, it's imperative to keeping a career afloat.
We need an update to this movie.
I mean, MC Light, keep in mind, MC Light is this dude's baby's mama.
And he messed that up.
How do you not go to? I'm having a hard time with this rhyme, baby.
Right?
Can you help me out with this?
That's true. That's true.
And he can never hit his punchline on the end on that downbeat. What's worse, Jason? Disorderlies or Fly By Night? Okay, a true story.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Disorderlies not in the theater, but I saw it on video. I would watch Disorderlies again.
Yes. Yes.
If you were like Jason, would you rather watch Rappin', starring Mario Van Peebles as John Rappin' Hood, or Fly By Night? I'd be like, I'd rather watch Rappin'. I'd rather watch Rappin' in like THX sound.
Oh my gosh.
I don't understand any. I was half asleep, and I would wake up just laughing. And I just remember waking up going, "Who does that?"
The whole movie is Who Does That?
The whole movie should be called "Who Does That?"
Who does that?
And you know what fucked me up, Toussaint? It's got over 1 million views.
Sometimes I think people get a whiff of early 90s, late 80s. They're like, this is the real stuff. Like, it just has to have a veneer. And they're on it. They think
Malibu's
it's
Most
authentic.
Wanted. I used to own Malibu's Most Wanted. I would rather watch Malibu's Most Wanted.
Me too.
Tougher
Twice.
than leather. Now we're getting to a point where I'm going to be like, oh, this is a little hard. But I will say this. This is where delirium truly set in for your boy. So because I'm watching, it's on YouTube. I watch it. I fall asleep on the couch. I wake up, and another hood movie is on that is equally as ridiculous.
What is equally as ridiculous?
I don't even know the name of it. It's just like another. It's like I don't even know. Same era, same ridiculousness.
Wow. Fat Beach was my standard. It really was.
Fat Beach is Fat Beach is classic cinema.
It's yeah. Of
The
course,
silly
DC would
movies,
approve.
but you know what I mean, like the silly movies with the stars.
Mm-hmm.
They're silly and they're bad, and then there'll be like one hot chick in it, and you're like, oh, okay, it's okay, I guess. The only thing that I would watch, like, I would watch this movie over Soul Plane.
Okay. Wait.
Soul Plane made me mad.
Fly by Night over Soul Plane? No. No.
Yeah.
Wow. That's heavy.
Yeah, Ivan is copying the comments.
I think it's hilarious.
Are as Jason delved as deeply into Latino hood movies as Black hood movies? Well, Llanos, the answer is resounding. Fuck yeah. Was I at the theater the day Mi Vida Loca came out? Yup. Do I have an unhealthy crush on most of those actresses in that movie? Yup.
My gosh. Yeah, I want to read this comment. This is from Ivan, copying and pasting. I was 13 when this came out and thought this movie was corny. Now I like watching it as a 40-year-old. And Ivan says, maybe we aren't mature enough yet. It's got to be something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Horrible. Llanos, I've watched every Latin hood movie. I watched the Zoot Suit play movie. I own the book is here somewhere. Zoot Suit. Definitely fascinated with all hood culture. Maybe because it's where I grew up, and it's just something about it reminds me of home, kind of, but not really. There's never movies about where I'm from. The Mac is Oakland, but I was born there, but I grew up in Richmond, California. There's a movie about Richmond, California, actually, but it's filmed in L.A. It's called Coach Carter.
Oh. Denzel
Stand and
Washington.
Deliver. I watch Stand and Deliver every time I can find it on TV. I love.
It's a good movie.
Jaime Escalante. Again, Jason owns the Criterion Collection of Blood In, Blood Out.
Did you watch Money Train more than once for J-Lo?
I wasn't really all that like juiced off J-Lo. My first wife kind of reminded me of J-Lo, but like shorter. So I felt like I had J-Lo. I was living out my Sean Combs fantasy.
Oh dear. Is it as bad as Gods and Generals? I don't know that movie.
I've never seen that. But Blood In, Blood Out is a fucking amazing movie, and I cry at the end every time.
Wow. You're a passionate man.
Right? I think it's a great film. How many times have I been married? Twice. Married twice. That's a real answer. Sometimes I lie about the things I say on this show, and sometimes I don't.
And you already know how many kids he has.
Right? You guys say I have 27. You will never know the real number because I don't talk about the secret child.
The John McCain secret child. Terrible.
Dude. Yeah, I totally want you guys to think I have 27 kids, because if you ever see me with all my kids, you'll be like, who are all those fucking people? Why is Jason with all those light skinned people?
Gosh. I just want to highlight a comment that Strom made a while ago.
Mhm.
I haven't been able to get it out of my mind. Strom says that he's been told that he looks like a white Cat Williams. Who says that?
Strom has good
Strom.
friends.
Strom is the homie.
If Strom is coming to New York, by the way.
That's right. Oh my gosh.
I'm so excited.
Wow.
I'm excited for New York. Also, did I tell you that I haven't told you guys the news? That I'm
Uh-oh.
going to be hosting a show on Sublation Media with Doug Lane.
Really?
We're working out some of the particulars.
That's so
So,
great.
um,
Are you going to call it Sepia Tone Memories with Jason Miles and his white friend of the week? Sponsored by Polaroid, ColecoVision, 8-track tape players, are us. Yeah, I got
you
it.
guys,
I have
I've
all the
watched hood
marketing worked
movies with
out.
like Robin Gibb. You know what? You know how bad it is with hood movies I watch? I'll watch the religious hood movies.
Religious movies.
Oh yeah.
Do you watch
But then,
African movies? Like
no, no. I draw the line. Like,
uh,
stop.
no Nollywood. Oh, my dad was
Like,
trying to get me into it, and I was just like,
if someone showed one to me and it was like ridiculous, I'd totally watch something ridiculous. Because sometimes I'm in a mood when we're done with this show to do ridiculous shit. Like, I feel kind of bad that the recap, like, this is what the champagne room is usually like.
this is true. This is 100%. Hey, if you're enjoying this and you're not a patron, it is pretty much like this. Sometimes
It-
Pascal sings.
he does.
He
He's
does.
that poor man is actually like legitimately tired. Because this extra show is always kind of like heavy lifting. But I
Yeah.
think I will be turning this Open Wednesday into like a movie show of some kind.
Okay.
Maybe not like what Forrest does on Movie Night Extravaganza. I can't even talk. But
It's not going to be fly by night.
it might be. We might do.
We might need to.
Yes, there's calls in the champagne room. The champagne room is all calls now.
Yep.
I have seen Bulletproof that Ernest Dickerson did, Patrick. Last Boy Scout. I don't know if you call that a hood movie. I've seen my fair share of Tyler Perry movies.
Oh,
And then I'll even watch the offshoots of Tyler Perry movies, like the people that are like, if Tyler Perry can make a movie about Jesus and wayward black women, I can too. So have you seen that movie? What is it called? Like, if you have a title of a movie and it sounds like a movie of the week or a Danielle Steele novel, I'm all like, I love those old 80s movies of the week. I loved them when I was a kid, and I love anything on Lifetime. Like, sadly, there's no Lifetime here in Mexico, but I loved Lifetime movies. They're just so ridiculous. And there was this one black version of a Lifetime movie, and it stars this woman. I think she's been in some Tyler Perry movies, and it's the typical story where she's got like a perfect house and life, and her husband is just like ripped to shreds. He's just like this black chocolate stud man with his muscles have muscles.
Yeah.
And then she leaves him for this like Brazilian dude who's equally as ripped and his muscles have muscles. Have you seen that one?
No, I have not. I don't know what I've been doing in life, but I know.
Oh my god, I watched that. Oh god, I'm so. And the whole time she's like, I had the perfect life, I had the perfect family, and I threw it all away. Perfect life. Like that's just it throughout the whole movie.
Oh.
I was like, well, I don't know if you threw it all away. It looks like you're getting like you're handling business, homegirl. Everybody in life is pretty fucking perfect. Black Lifetime sounds like a new cable channel. You know what?
I wouldn't be mad at that.
That's how you know I sold out. People are like, oh, you sold out because you're taking Ford Foundation money. No, I sold out when I got Black Lifetime.
You're taking Ford Foundation money? You just slid that in like what?
If
What?
I'm taking Ford Foundation money, backdrops are not going to be old posters for me.
Is that a cat? What is that? PRF barbecue?
Oh,
What is
so do you
taking
know Conan
place?
Neutron? Conan
Ye-
Neutron
Yeah.
throws a festival with a bunch of other dudes. And one year it was in Oakland, and my band LaFen got to play at the Mosswood Amphitheater in Oakland, California. And it was a grand old time. And
Okay, but is that a cat? What is that thing?
it's a wacky figure. A lot of these posters are wacky figures. You can't even see some of the other really
Okay.
insane ones. I
Okay.
wish took more posters from shows, and you never think to take stuff from the show.
Hmm. I like the one behind you, behind your Adabisi hat. What is that?
This one?
Yes. Is it the
That's
same as the other one on the other side?
no, this one on the other side is a cover for Bitter Lakes Dose. It was our second release, so I called it Dose. Little did I know I'd be living in Mexico. This is at a house show in the Inland Empire. There's this punk rock house, and we were playing with this band that was on tour from France. And there was this moment in our set when I was still playing guitar where we would play this like heavy ass breakdown beat, and that place just went insane. There's some footage of it somewhere, just insane. Like I started hardcore dancing, going crazy. It was so much fun.
I want to go to a
That
punk
was one of the more
house.
fun times of my life. Actually, was that show right there.
That's great.
Yes, it's just a misty watercolored memories
Sepia
of
tone
the way
memories.
we were.
Jason probably has 3 to 5 kids. I think you're way off. Born center.
Maybe 6. There could be 6 children. There could be more children on the way. Is there stepchildren? Has Jason adopted any children?
Wow. It's just adopting children in Mexico. Walking down the street, you're my kid now, you're my kid now. I'm used to having a lot of kids. 27.
Is that what the pedophile DJ said to that black kid? You're my kid now.
I don't want to think about that. Poor Dudley. It has to be a prime number.
Yeah.
2
Yeah.
kids?
That's
No
insane.
way.
That's insane.
Do you want to know where I got the number 27 from?
Where did you get the number 27 from?
Somebody was interviewing Buju Banton, reggae dance hall legend, and they kept calling him father of 27. Yeah, I know.
Is he really?
He might, yeah, have 27 kids. He's been famous since he was a child. So
All I hear is child support payments when I hear they make it. It's like, it's hurt my whole chest.
probably got it covered. Hurt your whole
Like,
chest.
my whole insides hurt.
I'm sure they're fine.
But yeah, you never know. I could, you know what? Maybe I'll have more kids. Maybe there's more children.
There's still time.
There's still time. You know, I was like, changing diapers at 40 is fun.
Fun.
I didn't say that. No one says that. On that note,
Yes,
it's getting late.
it is.
I have a long drive tomorrow after the show.
Tomorrow. Oh, okay. I thought it was tonight and we were making you late.
No. I got confused. I wanted to take off tonight, but I'm doing the Thursday show. Did I sleep with a white lady in Canada in '94?
Wow. Specific.
No, I didn't. I was 16. No, I did not. God, there's so much I want to divulge.
Don't
And this
do
is why
that.
these late night streams for me are horrible, because I'm in a room alone, right?
True.
So I don't think that this is the internet. I'm like talking to people and I'm interacting with you, and I can say things And then after I say them, I'm like, holy shit, I actually said that.
I feel that way too.
So I
Last
don't
night's
want
show?
93 doesn't make it better.
Nice.
I think my curfew was when the street lights came on in 93. Um
Were you in Fly By Night and you didn't know it?
That would have been
Sounds
my
like a
claim to
yes.
fame. If I was in any movie, I wouldn't have gave a damn.
True. I wouldn't either.
I've been telling everybody. That would have been my claim to fame. Did I ever tell you? Okay, before I go, I'll tell you about how horrible I am of a human. So
Do we need to hear the story? Do we have
yeah,
to?
because the kid thing, I could get like really personal, but I won't. But I will get personal if this is a true story. I think I've said this before, but probably in the champagne room. The biggest show I ever played was in 1996. Well, at that time, it was in 1996. I played bigger shows since hindsight. At a place called the Phoenix Theater. It's in Petaluma, California. And have you ever heard of that rapper Mac Dre?
Mm-hmm. Rest in peace, Mac Dre.
Rest in peace, Mac Dre. It was
Till
Mac
the
Dre's
day,
first
okay.
show out of prison.
Okay.
So our major radio station sponsored it, and me and Coach Will and another gentleman, I won't name him, so he can, if he doesn't want to be named, I haven't talked to him in a few years. We were in a rap group, and we were going to open the show. We opened the show, and everyone was there. It wasn't like people came late. No, no. These motherfuckers all showed up on time, and it was packed. And I got my pants pulled down, and they were trying to tear them off. I was 18 years old. And so I walked to a certain part of the stage, and we weren't Mac Dre. So people were like, boo. And these girls were in the front. They were going, Mac Dre, Mac Dre. And I was trying to be diplomatic.
Oh, what did you do?
Because that's what you do when you're on stage with a microphone. You're like, well, we can't give you Mac Dre now, but let's see what we can do here.
Okay.
So I walk over to this gaggle of very animated young ladies, and I said, excuse me, homegirl, let us do this one song for you, and you can get all the Mac Dre you want. And her and her crew looked up at me, and she said, and I'll never forget this, because this is the first time in my young life I was legitimately frightened. She said, fuck that. We want you. I went, huh? And they just started grabbing me.
Wow.
Pulling my pants off. My pants are all coming down. The Nation of Islam is security. So the Nation of Islam grabs them.
Oh, they're good at security.
In typical Nation of Islam fashion, they chastised them after they're like, you young ladies need to get your lives right.
That is awesome. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
So I walk to stage right, and there's women in the front, stage right as well. And I walk over there, and they go, it's not going to get better for you over here either.
Alrighty.
Shit. So the other black dude in the group looks at me. He's like, man, quit talking, dude. Just like, cue the music, right? Cue the beat, whatever you say when you're trying to be cool. And the beat comes on, and the people stop booing, and we're rapping, and we're doing our thing, and it's really cool. And I thought I was going to stand on a monitor, because I had like the last verse, right? I like ended the song. So I'm like standing on a monitor and rapping, and the monitor fell underneath me. So it looked like I was stage diving.
Okay.
So everybody went crazy, like, whoa! This is like 96 at a rap show. Nobody's stage diving and rap at this moment.
Right.
So as I'm diving accidentally, my boy, who's a much larger man, grabbed me by my nylon Adidas jacket because that's what we were all wearing.
Oh.
And he kind of is holding me, so I'm like suspended over the crowd doing the thing, and then he like yanked me back up on stage. People were like, ah! And we like patted ourselves on the back for a while, and then we went backstage. And
did you ever perform? Like
this was all we performed. We did our thing. We performed.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So we're done doing our thing. We go backstage, and backstage was like way more frightening than the crowd.
Jesus.
Because it was like all those Vallejo dudes were there. And this was like, they weren't rapper famous. They were like hood famous, doing hood shit. So
Okay.
entourages galore, hookers galore. Drew Down was there. So there was a bunch of like fucking, it was just nuts, right? So we left. We just like left. We were like, fuck this. Like, I don't even care to watch the show. Like, this was the coolest thing ever. And so the next day, I had to go to my shitty job. I worked at a Walden Books in Hilltop Mall,
Nice.
California. And as I was walking to my shitty job, a very attractive young black girl stopped me. Said, "Excuse me. Were you rapping last night at the Phoenix Theater?" Toussaint, you could have heard my head get bigger.
Brother. And then you had a child with her.
And she was like, "You left this." Toussaint, I was late for work, as you can imagine, right?
Yeah.
And I was in such shock. I couldn't say anything cool. Because you know how when you see somebody fine, you'd be like, "Oh, damn, person's fine." And you're trying to not look, but you look. So I was already doing that thing, like, damn. And then when she talked to me and said that, I was like, so I'm looking at her like this. Which is probably not the right reaction when you're trying to be cool.
Sounds right.
And at some point it hits me that I'm supposed to be cool. So I probably shouldn't have a day job if I'm cool.
Uh-oh.
So I was like, "I'm late for work." And I ran to work. And then all I was thinking about was like, damn, I should go back and say something because she recognized me. But first impressions are cool, like are key. You can't come back and be cool after
you ran
you just
away.
stared at somebody that asked you a question and then you told me you were late for work. So like I go back multiple times during the day and try to like walk by and like wave.
She was there?
She worked there. She worked at JCPenney.
Oh.
And she was like, "Oh, hey, you're the guy from that show." And I was supposed to be like, "Yeah," and I keep walking, but instead I was like,
ridiculous.
Like a slack-jawed fucking idiot. And I went back and I tried to be like, I just, I work because, I just want to get a discount on books.
Wow. That could work, but maybe not after what you did before.
It doesn't. It doesn't work.
Yeah, tell them you're a hand model. People don't really even know what that is, and if your hands are nice enough, you can get away with it.
I'm not an eloquent man. I may not be a smart man. That is a true story.
Oh, Jason. I thought for sure it was going to end with you having kids.
No.
Some kid somewhere.
No, that young lady started to hide from me because she was like, "There's some dude."
Okay. Okay. Probably a good idea on her part.
Will you notice me, please?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jason.
true story.
Jason, it's been fun. Really, I enjoyed this. This is like the champagne room. This is like when we chat. This was something
Did
that
you,
happened.
did you see Patrick?
Where was he when you needed him to tell you to say that?
I needed anybody. I needed anybody. And my dad could have helped me out. Anybody. Yeah. Ivan says, don't make a habit of talking about your L's. You know what, Ivan? I try to be as honest as possible with these stories. And that definitely is a true fucking story.
It kind of started with a W and then went to a very deep personal
Oh
L.
man, that was like that's when I knew I'm not a good star. I'm not gonna make a good celebrity.
You're supposed to practice and you didn't.
There's people that practice being a celebrity.
You're
I don't get
supposed,
it.
yeah. What? How? You think you could just make music?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah. I thought I was just gonna make music and then like live my life.
No, that's not how that goes
At all.
at all.
At all. You guys are being hella mean
The
to
chat is
19-year-old Jason.
chat is out of control.
It is, but it's if you guys would have been there, y'all would have been
Yes.
yelling, what are you doing?
Man,
Close your mouth, stupid.
we've been like, look, this is the most. This guy is a. He's gonna be in the future the most fertile man in podcasting. You should get his number and pay for the date and open doors.
Yeah, like you want to think that in your mind, and then real life comes in and kicks you square in the testicles, and real life's got a wide foot.
Twitch is in the house.
Twitch is in that. Jonathan Ross, former moderator of the show, Jonathan Ross. Shout out to Jonathan Ross.
Number.
Black capitalists won't pay for the doctor bills. So yeah, I'm traumatized every time I go back to Hilltop Mall, which I think it's no more now. I think it's finally gone now. Hilltop Mall is finally gone, sadly. So I won't have to ever relive any of my. I won't have to relive getting robbed there
Mm,
in '91.
damn.
But you know
That's
why
how-
I got robbed? Because I was wearing a Yankee starter jacket, and that's what I get for representing the East Coast.
I'm sorry. Sorry to hear that. You don't think we were tired of Raiders hats being cool?
Oh, that was cool in New York.
No. But we were tired of it. Why not Yankees?
Like you know that I'm coming to New York with nothing but California shit, right?
Oh my gosh. If you show up dressed up like Rainbow Bright's boyfriend, I, I am not even going to respond.
I'm coming wearing nothing but Warriors gear.
If you wear some black, you'll be fine.
No, I'm wearing blue and yellow. I'm coming in like I'm about to get in the game, headband and all.
Dressed up like Will Smith in Summertime video.
The summertime video to me is dope because those suits that he had, or those like outfits, the shorts with the jersey,
Yep.
that was bootleg shit from where I'm from. I'm sure it was
Nice.
bootleg shit where you're from.
I don't know.
You had to go to the bootleg spot to get that stuff.
I mean, we had plenty of those. But
So,
I couldn't spot it. I'm too young for that.
oh, people want me to wear the night poncho, Bronco night poncho
That's
instead.
right. The poncho.
You're not getting the night poncho. That does not leave Mexico.
I want one.
A night poncho was who's your team?
It has teams on it.
Mine does. There's ones that are like regular ponchos, but I mean, why would you want to get a regular one? You can get one represent your where you from.
The regular ones are solid colors, just like plain.
No, they have like a design.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
Mexico.
So there's like a black one, there's a blue one, there's a red one.
I need pictures.
What?
I need
guess-
pictures. I'm a visual person. Picture.
Okay, I'm just gonna get you a poncho. I'll get you a poncho.
Yeah.
So would you wear a Raiders poncho?
Oh man. Out here, I don't know. I don't I don't know. I've never not looked like I was from New York. I think that's a lot of not. No.
Dr. Claw, I just want you to know I agree with you. Bond should be in the Hall of Fame, and I'm wearing my Giants hat and a Warriors basketball jersey. And
My lord.
what else can I wear? Oakland Invaders sweatpants,
Wow.
San Jose Sharks shoes.
No boat shoes.
I'm gonna be as bayed out as you could possibly be.
It's a lot.
So,
Rainbow Bright's boyfriend.
are you ready for this, Toussaint?
No, not at all.
Isn't it hot there in New York right now?
Yes.
Okay.
When it's hot in New York City, it's humid.
Well, we were trying to book this before the humidity kicks in. So, is it humid right now?
Oh, a little bit. Is it indoor or outdoor?
Outdoor.
That's what I thought.
Or both. It's both. It's both.
Oh, well. We get to roam freely. That's good.
Ivan says Chappelle is in that movie. I didn't see Chappelle in that movie. If Chappelle is in that movie, he must have a very small part, or you're confusing that evil rapper for Chappelle that loves rapping about raping people.
No. So Chappelle would have to be at the end, the part you didn't see yet.
I can't live stream. It's not my event to live stream. I don't know if Doug wants to set it up to live stream. I don't think anyone is because it hasn't been in the talks. How do you start beef with someone wearing a poncho? Dave L said.
Good question. Good question.
I don't know, but well, then that makes my outfit easier. Then I'll wear a San Francisco Giants t-shirt with like little bitty booty shorts.
We knew those were gonna come out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boat shoes too.
Like cut just short enough that if I moved wrong way, sausage.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it done. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Phrasing. I've seen it done on the subway. I've seen dudes dressed like that on the subway. That's what I. Let's end the stream.
I was like, you weren't at the show that we did in Manhattan.
Oh my gosh. How did I say that?
You weren't there. I had those shorts on at the Manhattan show. Jason. I don't even know what that is. Okay, Toussaint, why are we still on air?
I don't, you know what it is? We talk after the streams and then we just kind of slid into this.
So,
yeah.
And you know what? Unlike Jean Bajlan, I'm going to hit in stream.
Yes.
Last week, I'm so glad that people didn't get a real dose of what's said.
Hot mic, hot mic.
Expletive, 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 expletive.
That was fun though. Everyone was freaking out in the chat.
I just looked up. I was like, what the fuck? Because my landlord actually had you can probably, I think I talk about it, knocked on my door to tell me that, oh, here's your new lease.
Yes. Yes.
And then she apologized for the water being shut off, and then told me if I needed to take a shower, I could at their house.
And that's
I
all
was
it
like,
took
how
for
the fuck do you have
Gene.
water?
And that's all it took for Gene to have his boomer moment. That
Jesus.
was
Well, on that
fun.
note, thank you guys for hanging out with us for
Yes.
2 hours and 10 minutes. Please, I'm
Wow.
being totally serious. Please go watch the latest video essay. Let me know what you think.
Mhm. Leave comments,
Leave comments,
share, like.
all that. June 26th, me and Pascal, Kuba, Doug Lane, Ben Burgess, Margaret Kimberly, Norman Finkelstein. We're going to be in Project Parlor in Brooklyn, 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. What else? What else? What
Patreon.
else?
Patreon.
Yeah, go
Become
there.
you can join us for champagne hours, which are like this,
It's like
but
this, but you can call
worse.
in and do this with us.
That's true. That's true.
I'm going to hang up this. I'm going to end this stream now so I can call a single mom and see if her kids are out of town.
Yeah, watch the rest. All right. The most fertile man in podcasting.
Are your kids going to? Oh, cool. You're going to be able. Okay.
Jesus. Have a good night. And good night to the chat.
And what do you say, Toussaint?
Oh, God bless and good night. Thanks for
Peace.
coming out.